Today we're diving into conspiracy theories that sounded insane, but turned out to be true. From secret government experiments to hidden agendas, we're exposing the truth hiding in plain sight. Get ready to question everything you thought you knew, so buckle up, grab your tinfoil hats, and let's jump right in. You've probably heard about MK-Ultra, right? This was a real CIA program. It was all about mind control, trying to make people into robot assassins, erase memories, the whole shebang. They were messing with LSD, hypnosis, all sorts of crazy stuff. They even tested this on unsuspecting Americans. Imagine being drugged and experimented on without knowing it. The CIA thought they could create super spies, but it backfired. Things got out of control, people got hurt, and it was a giant mess. They tried to destroy most of the documents, but some leaked out, and that's how we know about it. It's scary to think about how much power the government has and what they're willing to do in the name of national security. Seriously, this stuff is like straight out of a horror movie. But it actually happened. It makes you wonder what else is going on behind closed doors. MK-Ultra is a prime example of why you should never just blindly trust authority. Always question, always be skeptical. After World War II, America was all about scooping up the best minds from Nazi Germany, but not artists and poets. I'm talking about scientists who were developing weapons and conducting inhumane experiments for the Nazis. Operation Paperclip was the US government's secret program to bring over Nazi scientists and give them safe haven in America. They wanted their knowledge and expertise and didn't seem too bothered by their past. These scientists, some involved in war crimes, were given new identities and jobs working for the US government. They helped develop rocket technology, chemical weapons, and even conducted more mind control experiments. It's crazy to think that the same people who worked for Hitler were now working for the United States. Operation Paperclip is a dark chapter in American history, showing how far the government is willing to go to get what they want. Get ready to be outraged, guys, because this one is truly messed up. The Tuskegee Syphilis Study is one of the most horrific examples of racism and medical abuse in American history. For 40 years, the US government conducted a study on African American men in Alabama who had syphilis. They didn't tell these men they had syphilis and refused to give them treatment even after penicillin became widely available. They lied to these men, telling them they were being treated for bad blood. They let these men suffer and die, all in the name of research. It wasn't until 1972, when the study was leaked to the press, that the public found out about this horrific experiment. The Tuskegee Syphilis Study is a stain on America's conscience, reminding us that even the most respected institutions can be capable of terrible things. The CIA's heart attack gun, they made what? This one sounds like something straight out of a James Bond movie, but it's totally real. The CIA developed a gun that could kill someone and make it look like a heart attack. It fired a tiny dart filled with poison that would melt away on impact, leaving no trace. The poison would cause a heart attack almost instantly, and the victim would just drop dead, seemingly from natural causes. They called it the heart attack gun, and it was just one of the many bizarre and deadly weapons the CIA developed during the Cold War. It's terrifying to think that they were developing weapons like this, weapons that could kill without a trace. The heart attack gun is just one example of the CIA's willingness to cross the line. The Gulf of Tonkin Incident. They lied to start a war. The Vietnam War was a dark and divisive chapter in American history, and it all started with what many believe was a lie. The Gulf of Tonkin Incident. In 1964, the US government claimed that North Vietnamese torpedo boats had attacked American destroyers in the Gulf of Tonkin. This alleged attack was used as justification for escalating US involvement in the Vietnam War. However, it later turned out that the attack was either grossly exaggerated or completely fabricated. The Gulf of Tonkin incident is a stark reminder that we should always be skeptical of government claims, especially when it comes to war. COINTELPRO. The FBI was spying on everyone? COINTELPRO was the FBI's secret program to spy on and disrupt political organizations. And I'm not talking about terrorists or foreign spies. They were spying on civil rights groups, anti-war activists, even environmentalists. Anyone they considered a threat to national security, which basically meant anyone who disagreed with the government. They were tapping phones, reading mail, infiltrating groups, and spreading false rumors to discredit them. They even tried to incite violence and turn groups against each other. They were basically trying to destroy these groups from the inside out. COINTELPRO was eventually exposed in the 1970s, leading to public outrage and reforms within the FBI, but it makes you wonder what kind of surveillance is going on today that we don't know about. It's scary stuff. The Iran-Contra Affair, they sold weapons to our enemies. The Iran-Contra Affair was a major political scandal in the 1980s involving the US government doing something incredibly shady. The Reagan administration secretly sold weapons to Iran, considered an enemy of the United States at the time. They were hoping to get Iran to help release American hostages being held in Lebanon. The money from the arms sales was then illegally funneled to the Contras, a right-wing rebel group in Nicaragua that the US was supporting. The Iran-Contra Affair showed how far the government was willing to go to achieve its foreign policy goals, even if it meant breaking the law and deceiving the American people. It was a huge mess, leading to multiple investigations and convictions. The business plot. They tried to overthrow the president. The business plot was an alleged conspiracy in 1933 to overthrow President Franklin D. Roosevelt and install a fascist dictatorship in the United States. Wealthy businessmen and Wall Street financiers were supposedly plotting to stage a coup against the president. They were unhappy with FDR's New Deal policies, which they saw as a threat to their wealth and power. They allegedly planned to use a paramilitary force of 500,000 World War I veterans to march on Washington and seize control of the government. They even approached retired Marine Corps General Smedley Butler to lead the coup, but he refused and blew the whistle on the whole thing. Whether or not the business plot was a serious threat, or just a bunch of rich guys blowing off steam, is still debated by historians. But it's a chilling reminder that even in a democracy, there are always those who would seek to seize power through undemocratic means. The Bohemian Grove, the world's elite, are up to something. The Bohemian Grove is a secluded campground in California where every summer the world's most powerful men gather for a 2-week retreat. We're talking presidents, CEOs, media moguls, the whole shebang. And what do they do there? Well, that's the thing. It's all very secretive. There are rumors of strange rituals, pagan ceremonies, and even human sacrifice. They have a giant owl statue that they supposedly perform some kind of mock sacrifice in front of. It's all very strange and creepy. Some dismiss the Bohemian Grove as just a bunch of rich and powerful guys blowing off steam, but others believe that something far more sinister is going on. Whatever is happening at the Bohemian Grove, it's a reminder that power often operates in the shadows, far from the prying eyes of the public. The FBI was obsessed with John Lennon. John Lennon, the legendary musician and peace activist, wasn't just a target of crazed fans, he was also under constant surveillance by the FBI. The US government was spying on one of the most famous musicians in the world. Why? Because they saw him as a threat. Lennon's anti-war activism, his outspoken criticism of the Vietnam War, and his association with other leftist groups made him a target of the FBI's COINTELPRO program. They tapped his phones, read his mail, and even tried to deport him. It's crazy to think that the government would go to such lengths to silence a musician. John Lennon's experience is a reminder that freedom of speech is fragile and that even in a democracy, dissent is often met with repression. The Dalai Lama was on the CIA payroll? The Dalai Lama, the spiritual leader of Tibet, is revered around the world as a symbol of peace and compassion. But did you know that he was once on the CIA payroll? The CIA secretly funded the Tibetan resistance movement against China for years, and the Dalai Lama was their star player. They provided him with money, weapons, and training for Tibetan guerrillas. It's a bizarre and little-known chapter in the Cold War, raising questions about the CIA's involvement in Tibet. The CIA's relationship with the Dalai Lama shows how far they were willing to go to win the Cold War, even if it meant aligning themselves with religious leaders. The truth is out there. 11 conspiracy theories that were once dismissed as crazy but turned out to be true. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more intriguing content. See you next time.